Hey guys, what's up? CheapScissors here, coming at you with a video on how to win Flying Scoutsman game mode in Counterstrike Global Offensive. For those of you living under a rock with internet but no attention to detail, Flying Scoutsman is exactly what it sounds like. You have a scout, and that's it, and you basically fly. It's very low gravity, so it's pretty much flying. I'm going to structure this video as a tips video, so we're going to have 5 tips under the 5-minute mark, so let's get started. Tip number 1, which is very important, is understanding your environments. Now this is of course a tip in any game mode ever, but in this it is very different to the normal Counter-Strike environments, and you have to act accordingly. You have to be ready for enemies jumping through the second story window of a house, you have to be ready for them to be on roofs, and you have to be ready to do these things yourself. The reason being is that people are still getting adjusted to this game mode, and you will have a strategic edge if you know how to use these things to your advantage. That brings me to tip number 2. Have strategy on these new maps. I know it sounds silly because you should have strategy in all maps, but with these new environments and these new ways to play, you have to have a different strategy. I'll give you an example. On the map being played right now, there's really only one way to get to the second floor if there wasn't low gravity. But with this new game mode, you can jump into literally any window you see. With that, you should be planning with your team how to execute these sites. If you're playing on T side, you can have your teammates jump through the windows, clear the room, and then go plant. If you're playing CT side, you can position your teammates on the roof to have better angles. There's lots of strategies that can be used in this, just make sure you use something. Now, to be able to execute these strategies to full effect, you will need tip number 3, and tip number 3 is, you will need to be able to move well. You'll need really good movement. And I don't just mean being able to walk around, know when to pull your knife out and stuff like that. You need to be able to air strafe very well. If you don't know what air strafing is, it's when you change velocity in the air and you can change direction in the air without having to hit the ground. So if you don't know how to do it, then normally you'll jump forward and you'll be flying that trajectory until you touch the ground, and then you can move again. But if you can air strafe, you let go of the W key, you use A and D along with mouse movements, and with that you can turn in the air. If you want to learn how to air strafe, I'll be posting a separate video which will be linked above and in the description once I post it, that will teach you in depth how to do air strafes. If you don't know how to do this, I highly recommend you go check out that video, because this is extremely useful in not only this game mode but all of Counter-Strike. Tip number 4 is practice your aim, and I know this seems like it's an obvious thing to say, but with this new game mode, when you're flying through the sky, you have to aim differently. The reason you have to aim differently is because myself and everyone else who plays Counter-Strike is used to aiming when only standing still or being relatively still. What I mean by that is, even if you're moving with your scout, you still have an understanding of how you're moving because you're directly changing it, and you can easily adapt to that. But in flying Scoutsman with the low gravity, if you jump in a direction and are trying to aim in on someone, it is actually fairly difficult. It's a little bit more difficult than you would expect. So my advice for that is, while playing the game mode, be cognitive about how you're moving and how you're aiming. Last but not least, tip number 5 is don't get too excited. This is basically saying just don't overuse jumping. It is fun to fly around like that, but you need to know when to use it and you need to know when not to use it. To really master this, you just have to play a lot, but a good way to think of it is, if you think that you might die from doing something, just don't do it. That goes for all Counter-Strike, but especially this. If you think that you're going to get shot while jumping in the air, don't jump. It'll probably save your life a few times. That concludes my 5 tips for how to win Counter-Strike's Flying Scoutsman. If you like this video, be sure to show it by leaving a like. If you have any other tips that you think should be mentioned, be sure to comment them down below. Also, give me feedback in the comments on how I can improve my videos. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more, and until next time guys, have a good one. Peace.